My friends, a big frustration that I keep hearing about from my students in my online guitar academy on Patreon concerns string transitions. So a lot of players feel like they're making progress when it comes to picking faster on one string, for example, but as soon as they have to transition between the strings in creative and interesting ways, like just playing 2 notes on one string, 1 on the next one, 4 on the next one, they feel like they're getting stuck in between the strings, there's a ton of string noise, and they simply can't speed up the licks and guitar solos to the original tempo and feel like they hit a wall or plateau with their picking technique. If that sounds familiar to you, you just clicked on the absolutely perfect video, because in this one I want to share some advanced picking technique mechanics with you that will definitely get you out of your picking technique rut once and for all. So let's not waste any more time and dive into the lesson right away. So even without a warm-up, I just picked up the guitar. I can play relatively fast and relaxed right from the start. You probably watched a couple of picking tutorials so far, but just to quickly summarize, I'm playing with a closed hand. And this is the easiest way of describing my pick grip. I just move my thumb like this on my index finger. So the pick goes right here. And that's basically how I'm, holding the pick. As you can see, there's really just the tip sticking out, so I don't want it to look like this. And one thing I also did in the past that I'm avoiding right now is holding the pick like that. So with the tip of my index finger, or with this kind of joint right here. That has always resulted in this weird kind of O shape or hole that you can see between the index finger and thumb of my picking hand. You can see that in a lot of older videos, and it didn't really bring me the best results. So for my current grip, the pick goes right here, kind of in the middle between the 2 joints of the index finger right here. So not too close to that one, not too close to that one. And of course, I also want to make sure to grip the pick lightly. So I'm not putting any pressure on the pick itself when I'm playing fast. I want everything to feel kind of relaxed, just like this. As always, I'm not using a fret wrap or anything in this video to hide the unwanted noise or to help out with that. And as you could hear, when I'm performing the really tricky task of switching between 2 different strings, going back and forth with different picking angles, I get no string noise whatsoever, and you can hear all the notes individually, and it kind of almost sounds like I'm just playing on one string because you can't clearly identify when the string transition is happening. And that's of course my biggest goal with alternate picking, to make it as clean as possible. And the reason why I'm making this video today is because I discovered one more thing that helps me with getting much cleaner results with my picking. As you might know, one of my biggest problems in the past was touching the strings with my knuckles or with these joints right here while I was playing, and that always resulted in unwanted noise. I always thought that my fretting hand was to blame for all the noise, and I was working relentlessly on it with legato and other exercises, until I discovered that the grazing of the strings with my picking hand actually was the problem. So when I was trying to fix my picking problem of always grazing the strings with my fingers, I was moving my hand like this while I was playing. So instead of playing like this, which sounds pretty bad because you can always hear that kind of noise, I was playing like this instead, really focusing on not touching the strings with my fingers. And that already sounds a bit better and cleaner, but there was still a problem until a couple of weeks ago. Sometimes when I over-exaggerated this movement, just like I did it with the previous demonstration, my thumb was now always touching the strings like this. So this area of my thumb that you kind of use when you're doing pinch harmonics on the guitar was always rubbing against the strings while I was picking fast. So by solving this problem of these fingers rubbing against the strings, I created another one with my thumb. So that definitely sounds better than all the fingers rubbing against the strings. But honestly, what really cleaned up my playing recently over those last couple of weeks and recordings that I had to do was just touching the strings with my pick exclusively, so not with my other fingers and also not with my thumb. It also helps with sweep picking, of course, or with very fast alternate picking like this. By the way, my friend, if you've been stuck playing the same riffs and licks for years now, here's the harsh truth: you don't need more random YouTube videos. You need a proven system. And that's exactly what my Patreon Guitar Academy gives you. For less than a price of pizza, you get weekly step-by-step lessons, real-time feedback, pro-level technique breakdowns, and a roadmap that actually takes you from beginner to beast fast. This is the shortcut I wish I had. So stop guessing, finally start leveling up for real. Hit the link in the description and let's get to work. The only thing that's still touching my strings and that's actually helping with muting the string noise is placing my palm on the strings or on the bridge. So I always need this kind of contact. I never play like this, so with any kind of floating hand approach, because that's really bad for your string noise. And most players that play like this always have to rely on a fret wrap live or in the studio. So right now with my playing, I'm still connected with my palm to the bridge or to the strings when I'm muting. But once again, I really focus, and I can't stress enough that it's important that I'm not touching the strings with my other fingers. This gives me so much more control and better results. So as I mentioned previously, I always kind of need that contact to the instrument, to the guitar, by placing my palm on the bridge. But one thing I've been experimenting lately concerning speeds above 200 beats per minute with 16th notes is actually lifting my elbow, or my forearm, I should say. So normally when I'm strumming like this, or when I'm playing, the forearm is also connected to the guitar and resting on the guitar like this. But recently I've been getting pretty good results in the home studio and also on stage by lifting my forearm a little bit like that, so severing the connection while still having my palm on the bridge or on the strings when I'm muting. So that was a combination of both lifting the elbow and really focusing on just using the pick for the picking, as it should be. And while this approach is still a bit experimental for me, meaning that I didn't figure out the exact position of the forearm lift yet, if it should be a really extreme lift like that, which I don't think, or just a very subtle lift like this. So although, as I said, it's still a bit experimental, I feel like I'm really onto something right here when I listen to those results. I get a lot of punch and speed, but also a lot of clarity, since I still focus on working with my wrist. I'm pushing a bit with my arm, but my wrist is not locked up like this. And I focus on only touching the strings with my pick, which gives me this awesome clarity as well and control.